Guten Abend, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren. Ich begrüße Sie ganz herzlich zu unserem 35. Wiener. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 35th Annual Viennese Ball. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the opening committee.
Meine Damen und Herren, es ist mir eine Ehre, die Ehrengäste zu präsentieren. It is now my privilege to introduce our honored guests. Dr. Arthur Boone and Ms. Sandra Boone. Mr. Harry Bullen and Mrs. Marianne Bullen. And Ms. Sweta Travada. Mrs. Julie Sun and Mrs. Selena Law. Professor K.C. Huang and Dr. Tiffany Vora. Professor Marcus Covert and Mrs. Sarah Covert. Dr. Howard Lee and Dr. Alice Fan. Professor and Mrs. Marsh McCall. Professor David Miller and Ms. Rachel Rose Figura. Mr. Jason Anderson and Ms. Julie Tsai. Mr. Rodolphe Hassan and Mrs. Edita Bartos Hassan. Oh, of course. Rick Ham? All right. Professor Rick Ham and Mrs. Penny Stroud.
Maru and Miss Mirage Marie Maru. And we have the founding directors of the Academy of Dance and Brit, Mr. James Mendoza and Mrs. Christina Benoni. And I'd like to add that Mr. James Mendoza has taken the last 21 ball of his 22nd consecutive Viennese ball. Mr. Richard Powers and Mrs. Tracy Powers. The tradition of the Viennese ball dates back to the days of the Habsburg Empire, when lavish balls were thrown during the season of Fasching, also known as Carnival season, which falls in between Advent and Lent. Today, the splendor and excitement of Imperial Vienna live on most vividly at the Vienna Open Ball, or the Vienna Opera Ball, which is held at the Staatsoper each year. It begins with a grand opening ceremony featuring distinguished guests, ballet performances, and handsomely clad young couples. It is the Wiener Opernball that our own Stanford Viennese ball is modeled after. The ball was introduced to Stanford in 1978 by a group of students from the Stanford in Austria program who wished to bring the spirit of Austria's fashion season to the university. That first ball was held in Toyon Hall and was attended by 350 students. Today, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to celebrate the 35th instance of one of Stanford's most elegant and beloved traditions. As tradition has it, balls commence with lively choreographed dances performed by the opening committee. Please cheer on the opening committee as they begin the evening with a polka, Auf der Jagd, by Johann Strauss Jr., also known as On the Hunt. Es ist mir eine Ehre, die Eröffnungspolka zu präsentieren.